Welcome back, everybody. Very excited to talk to our next guest, one of the brightest minds in business in boxing, the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, Leonard Ellerbe, joining us here. We got a big-time card coming up on March 30th. Our boy Keith Thurman is going to be taking on Tszyu. It's going to be great to see our boy one time back in the ring. Leonard, thanks for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anytime. Huge fight.
Oh, man. A huge fight. We got to sit down with Keith at Radio Row at Crawford Spence, and he was so, I love hearing him talk. I always love his personality and his enthusiasm. This man has not lost many rounds in boxing, but he hasn't boxed that much, Leonard. So what do you think we're going to get from Keith? Because this guy was at the absolute mountaintop. I feel like a lot of people are writing him off. I think it's premature, but I kind of understand it because he hasn't been as active. What do you think we're going to see from Keith in this fight?
I think you're going to see a well-prepared Keith Thurman. And when have you ever seen him? Because he's had long layoffs, especially most recently in his career. But when he comes back, he always performs at the highest level. And I expect nothing less than that come the 30th of March. And believe it or not, this kind of sounds crazy, but I think that Tszyu is tailor-made for Keith Thurman's style.
Why do you think that?
Well, because I know boxing, and it's certain things that Tszyu does that'll play right into Keith Thurman's hands. Keith has a lot of experience.
You think he gets past Tszyu? You think we'll see Keith more regularly? You think he'll get into a zone where he's back and maybe fighting a couple times a year and back in the title picture? This is a guy, I really love his personality. I love his style. It's just a question of, do you think it'll get on the regular path again if he gets past Tszyu?
Well, I can't speak for him, but I think at this stage in his career, he's looking for the big fights. And whatever that looks like and whatever that means to him, I think that's what he's looking to do. When guys, they get a certain age, they want the biggest things that they could possibly make. And I think that he has that mentality, and he's at that stage of his career, and this is a perfect fight for him. I think, with the victory in this fight, this will launch him into a great position where he wants to be to move on to something bigger.
Also on this card, we got Rolly Romero taking on Isaac Cruz. Spoke to Rolly a week ago. He seems, very, very fired up to do something to Isaac Cruz that's not easy to do. What do you make of this matchup?
I think it's a terrific matchup. I think Isaac Cruz style is going to play right into Rolly's hands. We know he's a very aggressive fighter, and Rolly's prepared for it. I expect this fight to definitely end in a knockout. With Rolly hand and raised.
Isaac's, I was talking to Rolly about that. It's got to be so hard to prepare for a guy that little. You're not used to something like that. When you've seen him, the Gervonta fight, that wasn't, the easiest one to figure out. How tough do you think it is to just get used to fighting somebody like that at that weight class?
Well, it's always about preparation, having the right sparring partners. In the Tank fight, Tank had hurt his hand coming into the fight. So he was kind of a wounded, one-handed fighter, and that's the only reason why he didn't get knocked out. It was a very entertaining fight. Rolly has the right sparring partners. You never gonna be able to match the guy that you're actually getting in the ring with, but you can do certain things and have the right guys in to kind of replicate that, so to say. And he has the right sparring for this particular fight. And I'm very impressed with what I've seen thus far in camp. That's why I'm expecting him to knock Cruz out.
I wanted to ask you about this, Leonard. I mean, you were with Floyd for so long and what he's doing in his career now. But one of the fight that everybody wanted to see, him versus Manny Pacquiao, was it down here in Miami at the Miami Heat game when this meeting happened amongst them? I'm watching this happen. I'm watching Heat Bucks as this is going down. I'm a big boxing fan, so I see these guys. Leonard, years have passed. Was this set up? Was this a whole PR thing, or was that really by happenstance that those guys happened to be at that basketball game to set up the fight to finally happen?
No, that's just how it happened. That's how it played out.
That's really it was crazy. Like after all those years, they had never it seemed to talk all the media games, and it just happened to happen at a basketball game.
That's what it was.
That's wild, man. That's
it was.
That's a crazy thing. It was blowing my mind that it was all happening right there. You know, watching my favorite basketball team. Right now, Leonard, what do you think is the biggest misconception fans have about the business of boxing with the way things are right now?
Well, the fans want to see what they want to see, and they have the diehard fans. They have certain matchups that they like, which is fine, but it's not always as easy to do because of what you just said, the economics behind it. Some of these guys aren't as big as they think they are. And there's no knock on any of these fighters because I think, as a whole, all these fighters are very good, especially when they get to the top level. But, what separates them is, say, the guys who have the it factor. And there's only one or two of those. And it starts with Gervonta Davis. When you look at a guy like Rolly, he's polarizing. And this is the type of fight that he needs for his career. Because Itak Cruz is a very well recognizable name, and he's a pressure fighter. And again, I think this fight is going to end in dramatic fashion, and then Rolly will be able to move on to the next.
Yeah, I remember it was before, not the Ryan Garcia fight, but the fight before that. Gervonta talked. He was at Fifth Street Gym, and he was talking about, guys don't know the stage until they're on that stage. Like it's crazy how bright the lights get. What do you see from fighters who have that it factor, like that they are going to be ready for the monster, not just like a main event, but be like, no, the world is watching this one?
Well, it comes with experience. Once you've been there before, no matter how big the moment is, it's just, you got to go out there and perform. Some guys are able to perform really well under the lights, and some guys are just what we'd say gym fighters, but in Rolly's case, this fight is the biggest fight for him that he could possibly make right now. And then all he has to do is find a way to go out there and do exactly what he needs to do and do it in an impressive fashion. And then he'll be able to move on and pick and choose what he wants to do.
Leonard, what have you made of we were all very excited to see the Devin Haney Ryan Garcia fight, get announced. What have you made, I guess, of all the Ryan Garcia stuff that's going on outside the ring right now, all the social media posts? Is this something people should be worried about, or you feel like this is all posturing for promotion?
Actually, to be totally honest with you, I've gotten calls about it, but I really haven't been paying it any attention. We got our hands over here full what we got on, and they got their thing going on, and I'm not really focused on any of that.
No, I get you. Is there ever a time, though, like with young fighters, like the check-in of pressure or any of that type of stuff, that as a promoter and a man who's on the business side, that you have to make sure that their minds are right, especially on such a big-time event?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, you should always be monitoring those kind of things if you're a promoter, the state of mind that your fighter's in, most definitely.
It's been reported that Canelo Jaime Munguia is going to be coming up on Amazon Prime pay-per-view, and this is like the first venture. You guys are doing the first venture into Amazon Prime. How I guess nervous or anxious do you get when it's going to a new platform? We see this all the time where boxing pay-per-views move to new networks and things like that. Is there any angst of like how a new network is going to run things?
No, well, in this particular case with Amazon having a enormous platform, again, it's like figuring out all the small intricacies of the platform. It's been fun. It's been fun because, again, anytime you can shift over to something that's bigger, you really get excited for it. And I'm really excited for this fight on the 30th. We have a tremendous undercard other than Rolly and Keith Thurman. You got Fundora. He's going to be in a terrific fight. And then you got Eslandi Lara. He's going to be coming back, and he's really, really chomping at the bit to get get back going. So we have some tremendous fights on the card. And again, I'm just excited to be able to talk about this fight on this huge platform in Amazon Prime. And I think the fans are going to be in for a wonderful night of boxing.
Yeah, Fundora's a crazy one because it's like that's another guy. Like for his weight class, I don't know how anybody prepares for him, but he's such a dog, and you wouldn't maybe think about it because of his size and stature and being that thin. But the man, I mean, him versus Hammer, Erickson Lubin, what a damn war that was between both of them.
Fight of the year. I mean, when have you ever seen Fundora not in a fun fight? You know, he's the true definition of a fan-friendly fighter. You know, he's always in nonstop action, and that's one of the things I really like about him. You know, he wants to become world champion just like his sister. So it's really good times for their family. I love their promoter, Samson. That's my guy. So really, really excited to watch him go out there and perform.
Leonard, obviously today everybody's talking about the announcement of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Well, I didn't know anything about it. Now, the exhibition or whatever it is in the ring, I hadn't even thought about that. But as far as the business part of that, it was a power move, and I had commented on it earlier. I hadn't thought about the fight itself, you know, because I don't have anything to do with it. But the fact that they're putting an event on Netflix like that, that's great.
Just you like the idea of putting on Netflix, the exposure of it. It's going to be monster.
Totally the exposure. I hadn't even thought about the fight part in the ring or exhibition, whatever it is. You know, I'm happy for those guys. I mean, again, it's like I know what Jake is doing. Again, he's thinking big picture, and it's a good move. It's a good move. He's building his portfolio, and he's thinking big picture for some other things, and it's a good move.
When you guys did Floyd versus Logan down here in Miami, because, you know, everybody kind of came down here during the pandemic, we were the only state open. I was blown away by the amount of media. You know, like I've been to a couple, but that was crazy to see how many people.
It was crazy. It was. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with that. The build-up was really good, and that night it was fun.
The other conspiracy that was always now. Did Floyd hold him up? Was that like you saw the stills of Floyd clipping Logan and holding him up? Is that a conspiracy that has any validity to it?
I've heard all kind of things out there. Floyd just went out there and Floyd entertained the fans like he always do. Just have fun with it.
Well, I can't wait for this card, man. March 30th, Amazon Prime pay-per-view. Keith Thurman, Tszyu, two absolute studs. Cannot wait to see this one. As you see, Rolly Romero, Isak Cruz, Sebastian Fundora on the card. It's going to be a monster. Leonard Ellerbe, thanks for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
All righty, take care.
All righty.